Hey guys, it's Brianna from Little Squirrels Farm, and in light of all the really interesting world events going on, I'm going to talk today about indoor salad gardening. There's this great book that I fortuitously got from the library a few weeks ago, and then I bought my own copy because I knew I was going to need to reference it again, and I highly recommend it because it has a lot more detail about this process. It's called Year-Round Salad Gardening by Peter Burke, and it's mostly about growing highly nutritious soil sprouts inside for very little money and with very little effort, and doing it in such a way that it becomes routine and super easy. And just convenient, really. So let's start with talking about what we need. I've assembled the bulk of the starter pack, if you will, here. We have one bag of pre-moistened potting mix, just generic potting mix, the no soil variety. Most potting mixes don't have garden soil in them to begin with. But yeah, you'll pre-soak this 1 gallon bag with 4 cups of water exactly. That's something that's mentioned in the book. And that gives you the perfect moisture ratio for doing what we're about to do. Next, we have 5 different kinds of sprout seeds that have been pre-soaked overnight. And I reuse little cookie containers to keep these from drying out and keep them contained, and keep my cats from doing weird stuff with them because they're cats and that's what they do. I've got buckwheat, I've got peas, I've got broccoli, I've got, I don't remember what that is. I think it's a radish. Also sunflower seeds. And so that's what I'm going to use in my 5 little tins here. You need this little sieve to rinse these off before we start. You'll need a tablespoon. This is actually a little bit bigger than like a traditional tablespoon, but it works just fine. And then these little tins, or anything that's of a comparable size, will work. These are great. They're super nifty. You can just stick them on a shelf somewhere. And you'll be good to go. And the other things that we have here is compost. Recommend using purchased compost or how do I put it? Processed compost, maybe not homemade compost, because it's you're trying to, although I suppose you could probably bake it, but we're worried about microbes, we're worried about mold and things that can happen to indoor plants less than outdoor plants because, you know, there's no real biome. You're sort of trying to create your own sterile-ish biome. And some organic liquid kelp, or really any liquid fertilizer, will do. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prep our little tins. Let's lay them out here. There are 5 of them. And so you can measure it out with the tablespoon. I usually just eyeball it. Just a little bit. That. This. That may have been too much. But you know what we can do. Yep. Perfect. And the compost. We will also put a tablespoon into each of these. And you can put it right in the middle. You don't need to spread it around the bottom because these are very small containers. And one of the reasons that they're small is so that they're easy to grow quickly. And the roots will just dig for them. Like later, whenever you, especially if you decide to compost the remnants which essentially in the book is described as putting them in a big 5-gallon Home Depot bucket and putting the lid on once it's full and just leaving it for a year, and then it's ready to use as compost. I think I read that right anyway. You'll notice that the root clump just goes right for it because of the easy distance. You don't have to mix it in. You don't have to do anything crazy like that. Just set it at the bottom. It's good to go. And then you're going to evenly, and this takes a little bit of time. So I'm probably going to, cut the length of this out later. We are evenly dividing the bagged soil in between these 5 containers. Do you guys hum while you work? That's a thing that I do. Other people probably find it annoying. Didn't put too much in that one. We'll see. Random stick. Okay. You could probably use a cup to do this. You could wear gloves if you want. I personally like getting my hands dirty because it feels nice, and I don't like cleaning out my nails afterward, but you win some, you lose some. You guys should comment with all of the interesting ways that you're thinking about distracting yourself should the social isolation continue. I mean, if you think about it, it's scary and you have every right to be scared. Don't let people tell you that you're overreacting. It's fine. You're allowed to be a little uncomfortable. This hasn't happened here. I don't know when it happened here, honestly. I read an article today about when the last time that they did actually institute a federal quarantine of some kind, but I didn't read details. And while they haven't gotten to that level yet, I was a little alarmed when I found out that they had halted all Department of Defense travel. I am a military wife and a veteran, and the fact that they shut down not just normal PCS stuff, but all movement and travel on the part of contractors and everything else. I mean, it takes a lot to get the regular movement to stop, So yeah, the point is, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Tell me how you're going to distract yourself. I think I'm going to try and push myself to practice piano more. I'm certainly not going to have an excuse not to work out. And I'm going to be gardening a lot more. And I just got some new furry family members today that I'll tell you about in another video. So I'll be spending some time and attention on getting acquainted with them and figuring out what all of their needs are. But yeah, what are you guys doing? Let me know. All right, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Hang in there. If you're like me, you're like watching YouTube and also doing 2 to 3 other things. So, I'll I'll try and remember to tell you when you should be paying attention again. Okay, we're about there. Not perfectly even, but it'll do. I save these bags and reuse them because there's just dirt in them. So just let them dry out a little bit, and then you can just put more dirt into them, and then you're not using a bajillion gallon-sized plastic bags, because who needs that? All right, I'm gonna go wash my hands, and I'm gonna take my seeds with me so that I can rinse them, and then I will show you the next step. So I'm just gonna blip out of here and come back. See you in a minute. So the first one that we have here is peas. They are my absolute favorite because they taste the best, and they're big, and they're green, and they're easy to space. And that's just really cool. So I'm gonna pick this one. So we're just gonna lay them out here. And then you can use your fingers or the spoon. The big one, fingers are fine. With the small seeds, I recommend using a spoon to try and even them out, because you ideally want them to be spaced in such a way that none of them are on top of one another. You just want to try and get it as flat as possible. Then there are more tricks and tips about soaking and seed varieties that you should try, stuff you shouldn't try in that book that I showed you. So highly recommend making that part of your collection. But for now, if you want, you can just keep an eye on this video and subsequent videos on this topic that I'm going to make during this process. I'm gonna go get the buckwheat seeds. Buckwheat seeds have arrived. These you won't be able to see as much on the video. They're kind of cool looking though. I've never actually grown buckwheat like in my garden, because I'm not really sure how I would use it. But these are really cool, and I like the way they look when they grow up too, because they've got these really neat red colored stems that just makes the salad and the stuff that you can make with these sprouts just look really cool. I'm still finding trying to find more creative ways to use the sprouts that I get. Salads are very colorful, very delicious, and very nutritious. But sometimes, some days you're just not in the mood for a salad, but you don't want to waste the greens. Do not recommend making a smoothie with these. Bad plan. 1 star on Yelp. It did not turn out well. All right, let's go with broccoli next. So broccoli, another super easy to grow, very nutritious. Honestly, they are also the smallest, which makes them the most annoying to spread out and just generally deal with, but it also makes them easy to store. I don't like, personally, the way that they smell, and I think that's because, honestly, I don't really like the way fresh broccoli smells, or cooked broccoli if it's been left out too long. That those brassicas, they get stinky fast. So it comes down to it, I don't know if I'm going to keep growing this one. I don't know if maybe I'll find another pea sprout varietal that I like a whole lot, or maybe another colorful, I don't know, something else colorful, maybe another radish to sprout, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, they're good for you. I'm not crazy about it. Maybe I can get my kids to do. Okay, and I'll go get the radishes next. Okay, got our radish seeds. These ones are okay. These ones smell a bit weird when you soak them. They don't seem to carry that on whenever they sprout, but don't be alarmed and think that your seeds have gone bad or something if they just smell kind of weird after a soak. They just do. And that's actually mentioned in the book. So we're just gonna, it's like we're painting with seeds. I love how the tray looks, because all these seeds are like different colors and different shapes. I mean, it's just a cool science project. One that happens to be useful. What's next? And our last one is sunflowers. So, important note with sunflowers, Don't use birdseed. They talk about that a lot in different sprouting communities and groups and forums online, and it's also mentioned in the book. Just don't use birdseed. Mostly because results are inconsistent. It's you're not really getting the bang for your buck, because as cheap as birdseed is, it's made for birds. It's not really made for human consumption, so they're a little bit less stringent with what is allowed to be in this thought process. So, if there's any takeaway, it is maybe don't try this with birdseed. I mean, you can if you have birdseed and you don't have access to anything else right now. Just don't expect great results. All right, so we're done with our seed soaking process, and now is my least favorite part, but the most essential. You're gonna want to take either paper towels or newspaper, and you're going to wet it so it's nice and damp. I like paper towels more, but newspaper's probably a little more eco-friendly. It's kind of your call. I also like that I can just compost the paper towels after. That's really nice too. So you soak them. Paper towels, I know from experience, is about 4 layers of paper towels. I'm not sure with newspapers. And he talks about it a little bit in the book, and I think he uses newspapers, so that would be a good place to look for that information. And you lay the covers on each one of these. So I'm going to end up skipping that part, and you'll just see like the finished product, and you'll see what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, paper towels, water, soak, cover. That's your next step. So this is what everything should look like when you're done. Little mummy loaf pans. They should be nice and moist, and you shouldn't have to water them for a few days. And this is what you're going to do. This is very important. So people who are wandering, pay attention right now. Right now, pay attention. Leave these in the dark for 4 days. So find the bottom of a closet or a cabinet that isn't exposed to light. I use a cabinet above my dryer because it's nice and warm, good for germination. And I just keep an eye on it to make sure that these don't dry out prematurely. Now, keep in mind, 4 days is not set in stone. You're going to want to check these every day. And maybe it's because I live in San Diego, in a place where it's relatively warm all year round. People say it's cold now, but those people are liars. So, these have never actually taken me 4 days to get to where they need to be. And what will happen is, what you're looking for every time you open that cabinet is the sprouts are going to push up on this. When they have pushed up so much that you can see pretty much all of them, there's like maybe an inch in height, that's when it's time to take them out, gently take off the paper towels so that you don't rip the sprouts out of the dirt, and you're going to put them in front of a window. And then they'll bloom up really, really fast. And then you can usually tell when they're ready for harvest, because they'll look delicious. And I will show you more about the process and about harvesting them, and as I come up with more ideas, more things to do with them as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it valuable. Be safe and be kind. Cool? Cool. Have a good night.